When you no longer feel the need to chase after people, that is a powerful sign of growth. Many times people confuse love with attachment or attention with care. They think that if someone replies quickly, if they stay close, or if they give gifts, then it must be love. But the truth is, love is not proven by how much you run after someone. It is shown by consistency, respect, and sincerity over time. When you are desperate for love, you often accept less than you deserve. You tolerate disrespect, you ignore red flags, and you even sacrifice your values just so the person doesn't leave. That desperation comes from a place of emptiness inside the heart. And until you fill that emptiness with your connection to Allah, no human being can ever complete you. Being ready for marriage means you stop running behind people who were never meant for you. You understand that your worth is not in how many messages you get or how many people notice you, but in your dignity, your character, and your relationship with Allah. You stop begging people to stay because you know the one who truly controls hearts is Allah. If someone is written for you, they will be guided towards you at the right time. Instead of chasing, you start preparing. You focus on improving your own life. You build your faith, your manners, and your stability. You take responsibility for yourself because you know that a healthy marriage needs two whole people, not two broken souls clinging to each other out of fear. This doesn't mean you close your heart or become cold. It means you trust the plan of Allah. You keep your heart open, but you don't lower your values. You prepare yourself to be the kind of person that a righteous spouse would want to marry. And when that time comes, the connection will not be built on desperation. It will be built on respect, love, and mercy. As Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us, marriage is built on sakina, peace, mawadda, love, and rahma, mercy. Peace cannot come from chasing. Mercy cannot grow out of desperation. Love cannot survive where dignity is lost. True love, the kind that Allah blesses, is attracted to you when you are sincere, stable, and connected to Him. That is why when you stop chasing and you start preparing, it is a clear sign you are ready for marriage. Marriage is often pictured as happiness, laughter, and romance. And while these moments exist, they are not the full reality. The truth is, marriage is also about responsibility. It is about showing up every day for another person, even when you are tired, stressed, or not in the mood. If someone is only ready for the sweetness but not the struggle, they are not truly ready for marriage. Responsibility begins with yourself. Can you wake up on time for Fajr, or do you keep hitting snooze? Can you manage your money wisely, or do you spend without thinking? Can you keep your promises, even in small matters? These habits show if you can be trusted with something bigger, like the trust of a spouse and a family. In marriage, there will be days when things get tough. Sometimes the bills will pile up. Sometimes sickness will come. Sometimes your spouse will be going through a difficult phase emotionally, and they will need your patience instead of your anger. If you are not used to carrying responsibility for yourself, you will find it almost impossible to carry responsibility with someone else. A strong marriage needs two people who understand that love is not just words. It is action. It is taking care of each other when times are hard. It is putting food on the table, protecting each other from harm, and sharing the load when life feels heavy. It is knowing that sacrifice will be required, but it will be worth it for the sake of Allah and for the sake of building a family. Think about the example of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He did not only speak kindly to his family, he helped them, he served them, and he supported them. He showed us that responsibility in marriage is not one-sided. It is a shared duty of mercy, love, and effort. So if you can already handle your own life with discipline, waking up on time, managing your affairs, being patient when things go wrong, that is a powerful sign you are ready. Because marriage will not suddenly make you responsible. It will only expose who you already are. And if you are already carrying responsibility with strength and consistency, then you will be able to build a marriage that is strong, steady, and blessed. One of the clearest signs that you are ready for marriage is how you handle conflict. Marriage is not a fairy tale where everything is perfect every day. No matter how much two people love each other, there will be disagreements. There will be moments when you see things differently, when you are upset, or when stress makes small problems feel big. What matters most is not avoiding conflict, but how you deal with it when it comes. If every disagreement turns into shouting, slamming doors, or long silences where you refuse to speak, then the marriage will suffer. If your pride always forces you to win the argument, even when you are wrong, then you will only hurt the one you claim to love. This is not strength, it is weakness. Ego destroys relationships because it blinds a person from seeing the truth. Real readiness for marriage means you've trained yourself to control your tongue and your temper. You've learned to pause before saying something you'll regret. You've realized that sometimes peace is more valuable than proving a point. You know how to listen without cutting the other person off, and you can admit when you've made a mistake. That humility makes love last, because no one can live happily with a person who never accepts their own faults. Think about the example of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He was the leader of the ummah, yet he was gentle in speech. He never shouted at his wives, never humiliated them, and never made them feel worthless. Instead, he communicated with kindness and mercy even when correcting or teaching. His character showed that true strength is not in raising your voice, but in raising your patience. When you can communicate without ego, marriage becomes a safe space. Your spouse feels heard, respected, and valued. Even when arguments happen, they do not break the bond between you. Instead, they can make the bond stronger because both of you learn and grow through them. So if you've reached the stage where you can stay calm in disagreements, where you can forgive, where you can apologize, and where you can choose kind words even when angry, that is a sign you are truly ready for marriage. Because love is not kept alive by romance alone, but by respect and gentle communication. Carrying unhealed pain from the past into a marriage is one of the most dangerous things a person can do. Imagine walking into a new home with a bag full of fire. Sooner or later, you will burn everything inside. Old heartbreaks, betrayals, and toxic relationships can poison a marriage if they are not dealt with before it begins. That is why healing is so important. When someone has not healed, they keep comparing their spouse to people from the past. A kind word is doubted, a mistake is exaggerated, and trust is always shaky. The new relationship suffers not because the spouse has done something wrong, but because the person's heart is still trapped in yesterday. They expect pain, so they never allow love to grow. Healing does not mean forgetting what happened. It means you no longer let it control you. It means you no longer carry hatred in your heart or look for revenge or secretly wish harm on the one who hurt you. Instead, you accept that everything that happened was by the will of Allah and that even pain carried lessons meant to prepare you for a better future. When you have healed, you can finally see marriage for what it is, a new beginning. You stop blaming others for your suffering and you take responsibility for your own growth. You learn to forgive, not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve peace. And when your heart is clean, you can give your spouse a love that is not mixed with bitterness, jealousy, or suspicion. Think of how the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam taught us about forgiveness and mercy. He forgave those who hurt him, insulted him, and even tried to harm him. If he sallallahu alaihi wasallam could let go of such deep wounds, then surely we can let go of what people did to us in the past. A healed heart is softer, more merciful, and more capable of true love. If you've reached a stage where your past no longer controls your present, where you've stopped reopening old wounds, and where you've made peace with what Allah decreed, then you are ready for marriage. Because your spouse deserves a heart that is open, not one that is still bleeding. When you are young or still emotionally immature, it is easy to be blinded by appearances. You look at someone's beauty, their style, their money, or their social media presence, and you convince yourself this is enough for a happy marriage. But those things fade. Looks change with time, money comes and goes, and worldly status never guarantees peace in the home. What remains steady, what truly sustains a marriage is faith and character. If you've reached a stage where you no longer make choices based only on surface attraction, but instead you look at how a person prays, how they treat their family, how they carry themselves with humility, that is a sign of maturity, and it shows you are ready for marriage. Because a righteous spouse will lift you up in deen, while someone who only offers dunya will eventually drain your heart. A person who values faith asks deeper questions. Will this person remind me of Allah when I forget? Will they support me in salah, in patience and in staying away from sin? Will they raise children with me who know their Creator? These are the qualities that keep a marriage strong, even when beauty fades and wealth disappears. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam advised us to choose a spouse for their religion, because that is what lasts. A beautiful face may capture your eyes for a short time, but a beautiful soul will capture your heart for a lifetime. A strong character, honesty, and a heart connected to Allah will be the anchor that holds your marriage steady through storms. So when you reach that stage in your heart where you would rather sit on a prayer mat next to your spouse than sit in front of the world showing off, you know your priorities have matured. When you see yourself valuing faith over looks, when the thought of having a spouse who reminds you of Allah excites you more than someone who only looks good in pictures, that is a powerful sign you are ready. It means you finally understand that real marriage is not for the world's approval, but for Allah's pleasure. It's not about glamorous images or temporary attraction. It's about walking a path together that leads to His mercy. Looks will fade, beauty will change, but a righteous heart only becomes more beautiful with time. When you choose deen over dunya, your marriage becomes steady. It is not built on shallow foundations that crumble when hardships arrive, but on faith that strengthens both of you. You realize that what matters most is not how you look standing together in front of people, but how you look standing together in front of Allah. That shift in perspective is what makes a marriage last. Because when you both live to please Allah, you protect each other, you lift each other, and you find peace in each other. And that is the true meaning of marriage. Not a display for the world, but a sacred journey toward Jannah, side by side, together. Marriage is often seen as something to bring comfort, fun, and companionship. And yes, it does bring those things. But the deeper truth is that marriage is an act of worship. It is not just about enjoying each other's company. It is about earning the pleasure of Allah through the way you treat your spouse. When you feed your spouse, you are rewarded. When you protect them, you are rewarded. When you stay patient during hard times, you are rewarded. Even a smile between husband and wife is counted as charity. If you think of marriage only as a way to escape loneliness or to have someone by your side, you may quickly become disappointed when difficulties appear. Because every marriage will have tests, financial struggles, family pressures, health issues, and emotional challenges. But when you see marriage as worship, you begin to understand that every challenge is an opportunity to earn reward. Patience becomes a form of ibadah. Supporting each other becomes sadaqah. Raising children with love and faith becomes a legacy that reaches beyond your lifetime. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam showed us by example that marriage is filled with mercy and service. He did not just sit back and expect comfort. He served his family, he was kind, he was patient, and he reminded us that the best of people are those who are best to their families. That means your behavior at home is a reflection of your true character, and it is one of the greatest ways to worship Allah. When your heart shifts from thinking, what will I get from marriage, to how can I serve Allah through marriage, that is when you are truly ready. Because then you won't give up when things get hard. You won't see your spouse as a burden, but as a partner in a sacred journey towards Jannah. So if you already see marriage as more than comfort, if you see it as a path of worship, a way to earn Allah's mercy, and a means to grow spiritually together, then your heart is prepared. That mindset will carry you through the ups and downs, because you know that even in struggle, you are still gaining reward from Allah. One of the most powerful and shocking signs that you are ready for marriage is when you no longer see it as something you need to survive. You are already whole, already at peace with yourself, already connected to Allah. You are not waiting for someone else to complete you because you understand that only Allah can fill the emptiness inside the heart. When a person feels broken inside and expects marriage to fix them, they often enter it with desperation. They hope their spouse will erase their loneliness, heal their pain, or solve all their problems. But no human being can carry that kind of weight. This pressure quickly destroys the relationship because the spouse becomes more of a bandage than a partner. True readiness for marriage comes when you've already built a solid foundation for yourself. You know how to be alone without feeling empty. You know how to find joy in your own company. You've found peace in your connection with Allah, and you don't depend on people to give you your sense of worth. That inner strength makes marriage healthier because you will not enter it out of fear of being alone. You will enter it out of a genuine desire to grow and serve together. Being content alone does not mean you have given up on marriage or that you don't value companionship. It simply means you understand marriage for what it truly is. Not a medicine for loneliness, but a sacred partnership for growth. When you are at peace with yourself and connected to Allah, you no longer look at marriage as a way to fill a void. Instead, you see it as an opportunity to multiply the goodness already inside you. You don't seek a spouse because you are empty. You seek them because you are ready to share. You want to share your time, your responsibilities, your dreams, and most importantly, your faith. You no longer carry the mindset of, I need someone to save me. Instead, your heart says, I want someone to walk with me. This is the difference between desperation and strength. When you're already standing strong, you don't lean on someone out of weakness. You extend your hand out of love. You want a partner who can pray beside you, who can support you in difficult days, who can remind you of Allah when you forget, and who can stand with you through life's tests. Together, you don't just survive, you grow. You don't just live side by side, you help each other rise closer to Allah. And that is the beauty of true readiness for marriage. It is not about needing someone to complete you. It is about being complete in yourself and then choosing someone who will make you stronger, kinder, and more steadfast on the journey toward Jannah. The Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam described marriage as a bond of mercy and tranquility, but that tranquility does not magically appear on the wedding day. It begins within yourself. First, if your heart is restless, if your soul is unsettled, if your mind is consumed by fear and insecurity, then you will only carry that turbulence into your marriage, and instead of peace, you will spread pain. But when you take the time to heal, when you build a strong connection with Allah, when you learn how to find calm in your own company, then you carry that peace into your marriage. You multiply it. Your home becomes a place of serenity because you bring serenity with you. Your spouse feels safe with you because your heart is already anchored. Tranquility in marriage is not about never facing challenges. It is about facing those challenges with patience, mercy, and faith. If you are desperate, every test will feel unbearable. But if you are grounded in Allah, even trials can draw you and your spouse closer together. So before you look for tranquility in someone else, ask yourself, have I found tranquility within? Because the peace you carry into marriage will shape the peace you find inside it. And when both hearts enter with calmness and trust in Allah, that marriage becomes exactly what Allah intended, a source of mercy, love, and lasting peace. So if you've reached the stage where your heart is calm on its own, where you find peace in your connection with Allah, and you don't look at marriage as an escape from emptiness, but as an opportunity for growth, that is a powerful sign you are ready. You no longer see a spouse as someone to complete you because you already know your completeness comes from Allah. Instead, you see marriage as a blessing, a chance to share the goodness you have built within yourself, When you enter marriage with this mindset, you don't cling out of fear of being abandoned. You commit out of strength because your heart is steady, your values are firm, and your trust in Allah is strong. Such a marriage is not fragile because it is not built on desperation. It is built on sincerity, mercy, and faith. And when two believers come together with that strength and purity, marriage becomes far more than living under the same roof. It becomes an act of worship, a sanctuary of love, and a path leading both hearts closer to Allah. It becomes two souls walking side by side, supporting each other, protecting each other, and striving together on the journey toward Jannah.